Welcome to the In the Huddle podcast. My name is Kane White. Gearing up here for episode 2. Super excited for you all to hear it. In this process of making this podcast, I've come across a few technical things that have made it a little tough on me. But I'm slowly learning and I'm slowly getting this thing figured out. The technology side of things I knew was going to be tough on me, but I really am getting in a groove of figuring out exactly what I need to do to really take this thing to the next level and keep it enjoyable for you all. That being said, in episode 2, you may hear a little bit of a quieted audio on my end. The guests' audio seem to be fine, but my end might be a little bit quiet just because of a few audio issues that I had. That being said, got it all figured out. Know exactly how I need to execute going into episode 3. So, hope you enjoy episode 2. I really think it's going to be a great one. I really enjoyed the conversation. So, hope you enjoy it. Hope you keep listening moving forward. And I'll quit yapping. Without further ado, here's episode 2 of In the Huddle podcast. Today is Monday, August 4th. You'll be seeing this on Thursday, August 7th. Welcome to episode 2 of the In the Huddle podcast. The first episode with a guest right here in studio. Not in my physical studio over what's essentially FaceTime, but who I've got with me is one of the greatest men I've ever met in my life. He's grown to become one of my best friends, a mentor, somebody that I can lean on in tough times. Not only that, he is one of the greatest high school basketball coaches in this generation, 252 wins in 12 years, the 2023 3A state champion, a proud father of 3, and a rabid Arkansas Razorback fan. He also officiated my wedding, and is not only that, but he's one of my dearest friends on this earth, and that's Coach Lee Wimberley. Coach, thanks for joining me today. Super excited to have you on, man.
I would like to be referenced as Reverend for the rest of the for the rest of the cast, if you don't care.
I can do that.
How about it,
People
Rev?
started calling you that.
Rev
Wimbo. So when's the next wedding you're officiating?
You know what? I hope it's never. That was nerve-wracking, dude. And I don't get nervous. I was nervous as all get out for that thing.
Compare that to going into a state championship game. What scale of 1 to 10?
Well, so I coached, 300 some odd games probably by the time I got to that state championship game. So I knew what to expect. I knew, kind of what I was doing. I got up there at your wedding and I was like, I hope this is okay. Like, I'm going out on a limb of prayer right now. And it worked out great. I thought it was awesome. It's a good time.
You may have had sweat in your palms. I may have cried more. That's probably a safe bet.
Oh, you cried and Billy cried. And I knew that going in, I was going to have 2 ballers. So I had that going right off the bat.
Awesome, man. That was a great day, man. Wish I could relive that.
It was a great day.
It was. Yeah, talking about Rector. So tell me, what was it like growing up in Rector? Tell me a little bit about your story growing up there.
Rector's one of the most unique places you'll ever be. It's fantastic place to raise a family, raise kids. I've got buddies, literally, that we do things with to this day. So my 2 best friends, my brother and his 2 best friends, and my 2 cousins, we still take a fishing trip and have for the last 27 years. I think this year will be 28. I think that's right. They'll correct me if I'm wrong. I promise. But it's just it was a special place because it was so tight knit. Obviously, people up in your business, but at the same time, they knew you. They knew what you were about. They knew what to expect. And I'll be honest with you, had I not grown up in a small town like that, there's no telling what kind of trouble I'd have gotten in. But I knew that. I swear, I knew that everything I did was going to get back to my mom and dad, and I was scared to death. And so it kept me out of a little bit of trouble. Didn't keep me out of all of it, but it kept me out of quite a bit of trouble because I knew that anything you did was going to get back, either to your preacher, the elders of your church, or your parents. And so you just kind of
Right.
you tiptoed around, but man, it was awesome. We played sports from the time we were old enough to hold a ball. We had a phenomenal, and this is crazy. I look back in a town that had probably 1,900, maybe 2,000 at its highest. Um, we had a Pee Wee baseball program and a Little League baseball program that would have 5 to 6 teams every year, and you played each
Wow.
other, and then you made an all-star team, and then you started traveling. But you had a full season in May and June of playing, and it built not only we were some of the most competitive kids you've ever met, and I think it had to do with that. And our parents, the ones that coached us, they were competitors, and so it was fantastic. We'll still talk a little trash to each other about some of those little league games. I played on one of the best baseball teams probably in Northeast Arkansas. I mean, we won that group won the state championship in '92 in Class A, but we had some kids from Missouri that would play with us, Zenith and
Right.
Kennett, and I mean we were stacked. We were good. And then when we make our All Star team, we'd always play Jonesboro's and Little Rocks and Bryant's, etc. Um, but it was phenomenal. And then my best friend Jonathan and KK, Jonathan's dad played college football, so he was the one that took over and started a Pee Wee football program for us.
Right.
Ran the old wing tee. It was fantastic. I mean, I can't. I was ready to leave. You know what I'm saying? Like I was ready to get out of
Of
Rector,
course.
and I'll never go back. That whole saying and everything. But then when you get out, you're like, man, I had it great. I had it great. And I was there. I try to go back at least 2, 3 times a year. Labor Day's a big deal in Rector. Labor Day picnic. We play. They have a Hall of Fame there at the high school, and so they do a golf tournament. Actually, I guess not a tournament, but a scramble on that Friday before Labor Day, and all the money goes to the Hall of Fame. And it's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Super
But
cool.
I'll bet you and I've talked a lot about our days growing up. It's no different than any other. Those small towns in Northeast Arkansas. You can't beat them.
It's not. It's not different than Truman and Lake City Rector. It's really all the same. Jonesboro is your hub, but that in that 30-mile radius or so, it's all the same. And I
It's
can
unbelievable.
so relate to everything. We get back to your parents. It got worse for me because when I'm going through school, here comes social media, and so
Oh
now
yeah.
everything's recorded. I mean, so,
Dude, I'd be in prison if
boy.
we'd have had phones. Like not jail, we'd have been in prison. Like we'd have gotten a lot of trouble. those those dang cameras. Nope.
The same way. I always wanted to leave Truman. Always wanted to leave Northeast Arkansas. I got to do that. I got the T-shirt, got the hat, literally did it. But there's something about this place, man. That's just it's
It's
just
home.
something I can't get enough of it, and it's comfortable. I guess now you can still always go on trips and stuff, but glad I moved off, and you've obviously you're a little bit away from Northeast Arkansas. It's
A little
central
bit.
Northeast, but you're still within driving distance that you can get to do those things.
Correct.
Yeah,
Like
that's a big
I
thing.
went to I went to Williams Baptist, so I didn't leave. I went 50 miles from my hometown for college. Transferred to Harding, so I mean it's in Searcy. So I was back then. You didn't have the roads weren't near as good from Rector to Jonesboro, so you had to drive through Brooklyn. You had to drive, which Brooklyn was a little bitty old town, and so it was about a 2 hour trip to Harding. I thought I was in high cotton. I didn't have to see my parents as much. Now my mom had done a phenomenal job raising my brother and I couldn't do laundry because she took care of all of it. I still can't iron to this day, and so I got off to Harding and I was like, oh, what am I supposed to do with these clothes? Like, because at Williams, they'd come watch us play and I'd just send clothes home with them and she'd bring them back the next game. So everything was fine. But that was
Shout
that
out to
was the
Mama
biggest.
Wimbo, man. Shout out to her.
She's fantastic still. She still does that for Lad. he'll go over in Jonesboro, and he says, "I'm going to visit Nana and Pop." I'm like, "So you're basically telling me you're going to get your laundry from Nana?" And he's like, "Yeah, but no, I had phenomenal parents. Just you and I both were blessed there." And that's where all of it starts. I think in any kid's story or anybody's story that's been successful or had a great what I would call just a great upbringing, and it starts with the parents. And
No doubt.
you know, I look back and obviously I'm divorced. My kids are in a broken home per se. Um, but when I was growing up, that just wasn't very common, and
Right.
especially not in my community. And so it was one of those things that you took advantage of. You didn't realize how good you had it.
Right.
And until you got older, and like you're talking about, everybody wanted to leave, but then yet we all can't wait to get back. Can all want to get back and see each other, want to get back and visit. Northeast Arkansas will be my home forever, forever. Um,
Absolutely.
Whether I'm
I
living
can
there or
agree
not.
with that. No doubt. You talk about how it all starts with the parents, and those three kids you got on the wall behind you right there.
One of them just walked in.
Do we
Who's
have
this
our
guy?
first podcast? What's up? What's up, buddy? How are
What's
you?
up?
Lawson Wimberley, the legend, right there.
The
That's the
legend.
first ever unannounced guest.
I'm telling
Let's
you,
go,
we're making
Lawson
history,
Wimberley.
buddy.
I love him, Lad, and Landry like my own, and you've done a great job with them, and they're going to be okay in this world because they've got a heck of a dad. So
Well, I
shout out to
appreciate you.
you for being a fantastic dad. So you talked about you go to Williams, you go to Harding, you play some basketball at Williams. I've still got a picture of me wearing your Williams jersey one day.
Fantastic.
Fantastic picture. But at what point in your life do you decide, hey, I want to go coach? I've never asked you that question.
Yep. Well, I got my accounting degree, so I became an accountant out of college. Raised on a watermelon farm, cotton farm, been outside my whole life. And they stuck me in a cubicle about the size of your desk. No lie. And I'm sitting there doing numbers and I'm studying for the CPA exam. Um, Basically 8 hours a day until I take the exam. So I'm there for 2 months. And I've done no work really. I'm like, why are these people paying me? Like, why hadn't they just told me to take this test? So I go sit for the CPA exam, and I was always good at standardized tests. I was like, I'm going to kill this thing. Wow, it kicked my ass, bad, and so like, I get done and I get my scores back, and I was like, ooh, that's not good. And so you get 4 parts. And back then you had to pass 2 parts and then make above a 70 on your other two to keep anything that you passed. Well, I was an
Okay.
auditor. That was going to be my job. The lowest score I had on the whole test was auditing. And I was like, maybe I'm in the wrong business. I went ahead and stuck around. And I'll tell you where they lost me. I was I was planning on trying to make it, and I had to wear a suit every day, tie every day, and I don't really dig all that. And it was
You're not a
hot,
fan.
and
You
so
by the way, you tied my tie for my first ever head coaching interview
I did,
in your coach's office at Manila.
I did, forgot about that.
I had to throw that in there, but onward. Sorry.
Um, and so like everything was going good as far as KK had moved down there. He was working at a bank, and we were living together, so we were having a good time. And I get it was on a Saturday. We were playing Mississippi State. The Hogs were playing Mississippi State, and so when I say we,
Blue pick.
of course, and it was at Little Rock. It was back when Little Rock was still a really big deal, and you did all the tailgating. So Neil and I are setting up, my brother and I, and I get a call, and it's Friday night, and I'd had these tickets for 4 months, and one of the controllers, he said, "Hey man, I need you to go out and do some inventory at me at this like culvert place." Okay, so it had these, a big old culvert is, and I was like, okay, that
Right.
can't take very long. I'm just gonna go out there and count some culverts. And so he gives me the address. He said, be out there about 9 in the morning. The game wasn't until 6:30. Okay, so I'm like, okay, I'll get out there at 9. I'll be back by noon. Have a great day. At 9 o'clock p.m.,
Oh.
I finished counting culverts. I've never been so
Oh.
mad in my
Jeez.
life. I've been known to lose my cool occasionally, but I was hot. I was mad. And I called that dude and I said, man, could I not have done this tomorrow? And he went, you know what? I didn't even think about that. And well, boy, I was like, you know what? I'm out of here. And so, my dad and I had already talked about me coming back and farming with him. So I went back farming with him for a couple years. But I just knew the competition. Like I need to compete. Like even, whatever it is, I just need it. It's part of who I am. It's part of my fabric. And so Bobby Gross, who I had he had graduated from Arkansas State, and he did some legend, and he did some coaching for me my senior year. Like he and Bolin had hooked up during the summer camp at ASU. We used to always go to a team camp there at ASU, and that was the only team camp we used to do back then. And so we'd go to that team camp, and Bobby and Bolin got hooked up somehow, and he helped us that summer, and then he did his student teaching at Paragould first semester. So the people at Rector, Bolin went to some of them, and they were like, okay, what we'll do is we'll pay him a little stipend. So he would come, and he lived with my brother and a couple other guys, Keith Kahn and Mark Manchester. They all lived in this place in Paragould. It was a hole, man. It was terrible, but I mean, we had a lot of fun there. And so Bobby would come up. He'd get out of Paragould. He'd work his half day or whatever he had to do until athletics, and then he would leave and come and coach us. And so my senior year, he talked to me some about. He's like, you're just natural born leader. You need to look into coaching. And I was like, man, I'll be poor my whole life. I don't want to do that. And of course, I was like, man, I'm greedy. I'm 18 years old. I want to make some money.
You had a good point.
I want to make some money, man. And so I revisit that whenever I decided I wanted to coach. He was at Wynn, and he'd been the head coach there for about 5 years, I think, somewhere in that area, maybe 6. And I called him because I just wanted to like some recommendation and really some guidance on what I was going to do, because I had to do the non-traditional route because I already had 150 hours of undergrad, so I could sit for my CPA exam that I was never going to use again. And so like I was like, I don't need to go back to school. I'd already gotten married, and I think we were pregnant with Lab when I got the job at Wynn. We were. So I called him for some guidance, and he's like, I'll tell you what. He said, my junior high coach just left. He said, come down for an interview. And I was like, okay. So I get all dressed up, tied up, everything. I get there, and basically the principal is like, I mean, he's talking to me like I've already got the job. And so he's not asking me any questions. He's just telling me, here's what you'll do. This is this. This is this. Now, I've not ever been in a classroom. I've never, I've not done any student teaching, none of this. And so we walk around, and he takes me to the gym, and I was talking to Bobby, and Mr. Easley left us. And as he's leaving, I was like, Bob, what's going on, dude? Like, what the frick? I didn't answer a question. He went, no, you've already got the job. And I was like, oh, fantastic. $33,670. And I thought I was rich, man. I was jacked. And so I go home, and we talk. I talked to Missy and everything. So we decide she gets a job there, and get there, and I was a terrible, terrible coach to start with. And all I did was yell. Like I just yelled for no reason, just to yell.
That's your natural inclination, though, when you start. Because I think I was the same way. You can ask
think you're trying to get your point
You-
across. You got to do it loud.
Absolutely. You can ask Brian Neal II. I think I yelled at him a lot when he was a ninth grader, and I was 21 years old. It's natural when you start.
You had no idea. I every time I was like needing something, I just turned to yelling. I was like, don't my offense isn't working very good. I'll just yell. Maybe it'll get better. It didn't. So I learned so much those first 3 years that I was his junior high coach, and then his assistant opened up, and I said, I want to move up with you, and that may have been the best 4 years of my coaching career. We had so much fun. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, and he trusted me, and so he let me do my job. Like he gave me responsibilities, and it was something. I wish that there was some way that every coach had to be an assistant for a couple of years before they become a head coach. I really do. I think it would make the experience for the coach, but I also think that it'd make the experience for all the players a lot better if that was the case. And you and I've obviously talked about it, but I was an assistant for 10 years. I was under him for 7, and then I went under Jerry Bridges for 3. So by the time I got my first head coaching job, I'd played under Scott Bolin, who's won 2 state championships. I'd coached under Bobby, who's won a state championship. I'd coached under Jerry, who's won 3 state championships. And I was like, surely I can't screw this up, right? And so I remember getting to Manila, and the first interview I did, I was like, I don't know. I was so nervous. I was like, I'm gonna jack this all up if I don't get this right the first year, you know. And so like I put so much pressure and time into that first year that I neglected everything. Like terrible teacher. I mean, but all I did was coach, and I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do any of that. So that was that first year at Manila, which we had a great year. Won the first regional championship ever. But I had a couple good players. Like Bill Taylor was coaching them before me, and I called him, and he said, "Well, it's a good thing you've worked under who you worked under because they can't score." He said, "But they can guard." And so like I went in there, and that's all we did. We worked on defense all day long. Well, I had Brady Jones. That sucker could score. He scored 39 3 times that year. I was like, Bill,
Wow.
they can score. He was like, I forgot about Brady. and then Scott Eubanks turned into a great player. And then I had some dudes that would just take, they did their jobs. That was the year, obviously, the dunk at the NEA that still comes
The
up.
step dunk, the dunk, whatever you want to call it. And
It's
well, we've talked about this before. That couldn't have happened at like a worse time because that is like the true like start of the peak of social media.
it was the
And
first thing that it's the first time I'd ever heard the word viral. I didn't know what that meant
right.
until it went viral. And it
Well, I took that clip as a 10th grader at Truman High School, and I sent that to like every news media outlet I could on Twitter, and
it
somehow I helped get that viral, and now it's full circle, and I feel terrible because it was against you, who I love, and so sorry for making
no,
you
it's
go
awesome.
viral in a bad way.
The kid that did it, the kid that got dunked on, Dylan Bogle was his name. He took, I think he took 40 some odd charges that year. I mean, he was a beast. He would do anything to win a basketball game. And um, somebody ran it on my Facebook the other day, and Scotty Reinhardt was tagged in it. Of course, Caleb was a sophomore, and he is a what is he? He's not a dentist, is he? No, he's a pharmacist. So
Yes, yes.
he's a pharmacist at Jonesboro, and Caleb said that he still gets asked, like to this day, if he was on the team, number one, and he's like, yes. Was that you that got dunked on? No. And so Bogle gets on there on my Facebook and goes, everyone needs to understand it was me. I answer it at least 10 times a year. Yes, it was me. Yes, I did almost like he took a knee right here because I went down there. Of course, I still remember who the ref was, and he refed a bunch of games when I played. And I'm not going to call him by name because I really do like him. But I went down there and I was like, that wasn't a charge. And he was like, he jumped over him. And when you watch it, it kind of, but then I look down at Bogle, and if you watch the film, he starts to get up and then he just collapses.
Right.
Well, he had a bunch of concussions. Like he'd had like 3 concussions, so he didn't let him even play football that year. So he was all basketball. And I go down there and I'm like, he's got a concussion. He's not gonna be able to play the rest of the year. And it had busted his eye. His knee caught him right here above the nose and got him good. He was bleeding pretty good. And I said, jumped
Wow.
over him? I said, jumped over him, huh? And of course the ref was like, he didn't. I mean, he was like, Of course the Comcast Center was going because they were just playing it over and
Over and over
over.
on, and that's right after they put in the 4 screens at each corner.
Monitors everywhere.
Everywhere.
And
If you don't know what we're talking about, you're listening to this or watching this, just go to YouTube and type in Victor Duke's dunk. That's all you've got to type in, and you'll see what we're talking about.
and
Anyway, let's but back to the guys that you coached under. The best head coaches are the best delegators.
mhm.
And I learned that you talked about how Coach Gross lets you do your job. And that's something that I wish I had known going into
Oh,
my
go get
first
the
head
board.
coaching job because I'd only been an assistant for 2 years. And that's something that I didn't really grasp. And I felt like that I had to do everything on my own. And I didn't let my assistants coach as much as I should have. And I had some great assistants those 2 years at Manila, some super ones. But I thought I learned going into that second year, hey, delegate things out. Let them coach. They're coaches too. and they're here to help you. We're all on the same page. And I name dropped all those guys in the first episode. Great staff. But so you're at Manila for is it it's 10 years, correct?
11.
11 years. 11 years. Obviously, you win the state championship in 2023. What describe what you feel when the buzzer goes off? When you win the game in High Springs, when the buzzer goes off, how do you feel?
I was relieved. Because, and here's why. Manila is, and you know, people that aren't from that area don't understand what basketball is to that area. And we had been good, like we'd been good. And I remember them, like, I mean, they were good. When I was a senior in high school, they were 34-4 and got beat in the first round of the regional, got upset. And so back then they only took 2 teams to the state tournament, and so they got left out. I mean, that had happened numerous times. And I mean, you know that the 4 years before that, we'd gotten upset in the regional.
Every year.
And so, you know, I don't know that the team that we won it with was my best team. Now that we were good, but I only had 6 guys. I mean, in the state championship, we played 5 guys. Well, 4 of them played. We went to overtime, so 4 of them played 36 minutes. One of them played 34 minutes, and one of them played 2 minutes. And the rest of them didn't even, like, they just cheered really well. They did their jobs. And so,
absolutely.
But I had some teams before that we had some depth, and had some really, really good players. We just ran into bad luck. The year that Brock was a senior, Brock Birmingham, and Daly Blue was a junior, and the year before that, when Joel and Brady were seniors, and Brock was had Daly and Brock been the same age, that team right there we would have been on. I mean, we still made quarterfinals, got beat on the last second shot, but that team right there is probably the most talented team I ever had. But the team that won it had worked so hard to get, because Blondie was part of all 4 of those teams, or all three of those teams before that year that got beat, got upset, and he carried that all year with him. And so when we won that game against Tuckerman in the regional, I was like, oh, we got a chance. And then we get the next night, we blow a 6-point lead in 22 seconds, and I was like, oh Lord. Well, then, obviously in the consolation game, we had to play Rivercrest, who we'd already beaten 3 times, and they were getting better and better because they had those freshmen that they'd moved up, end up making semifinals of the state tournament. And when we beat them that day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, after we'd gotten our hearts broken the night before, that's when I looked at Heath and I was like, dude, we got a chance. And
absolutely,
they were just tough minded. They didn't let anything stay long. Like nothing kept them down long. Somebody make a 10-0 run, they didn't care. They're like, we're gonna come back. And
and that's the one thing with that team that's really stuck out. It was their mental toughness.
Oh, unbelievable.
And really that group of seniors, that there was someone on the football team that I coached. They were extremely tough. And I know all of those kids. I still try to keep up with a bunch of them. They're all going to be extremely successful whatever they choose to do.
They are.
It's an attribute to how great of a leader you were. But what a fun season that was. It really was.
That's so fun. Of course, the year before, when you guys were so good, and then we were good, that was probably the most fun year. As far as like from the beginning to the end that I had. Our girls were good, y'all were good, we were good, the baseball team was good. It was just fun. And so, I look back at my time there, and there were some moments where I questioned, how sane, if staying there was just complete insanity, because we were trying to do something that hadn't been done. 1962 was the last time, and you think about 61 years, and you're like, it's not that long. And then you look at your dad, and you go, my dad was 12 years old when they won it last time. It was that long ago, and you're like, we accomplished something that obviously pride was. I couldn't tell you how proud I was of them, and I can't ever explain to people, but the relief of just almost like, all that work, all the times I questioned if I was doing the right thing. If of course we went to that 1-1 4 years before, we had 4 best seasons I ever had there, but that we kept getting beat, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to look at something else. And because I was a man-to-man guy all along, and then it got to that point, and we were long, and we didn't have very much depth, and I was like, we got to do something different. And so we put the 1-3-1 in, and it had, I mean, we've been uber successful with it, but every year we were getting upset, and I was like, something's got to give. And I was hearing people that and complained about, we need to change this, we need to change that, and whenever you coach, you're always questioning yourself. If you're a good coach, in my opinion, you're always questioning, am I doing what's right? Am I doing what's best for this team? Do I need to change this? Do I need to change that? And you're tweaking stuff here and there. And finally I got to the point that year. That was the only year ever that we went through the entire summer and played nothing but the 1-3. I was like, screw it. This is what we do, and we're going to do it better than we've ever done it before. And
Absolutely.
and we did. I mean, you can watch the game films. We knew exactly what that defense was for us and what we were using it for, and got so good at it that it was teams were hitting. I mean, every team in the state tournament hit 10 or more threes on us, and only one of them scored 60 points. So I mean, we knew what shots.
Incredible. It's an incredible stat.
It was, and the only way they got to 60 was because we went to overtime. So they're hitting all these threes, but we're making them shoot three, and then they couldn't get inside, and they couldn't get the easy buckets. And it was exhilarating. I mean, I like whenever we went out in the lobby, and there you were, and we embraced and hugged, and I was like, it ain't going to get better than this as a coach. And so that I took off after that year. I thought I was done.
Right.
3 weeks later, I was like, we did all of that. We worked that hard, and then now I got to turn around and start over again. And I just didn't have anything in the tank. I was like, nope, I'm done. It's a good time to stop. Lawson was going to be a sophomore playing football at Cersei. I was like, I'll go get an administration job down by him. Landry was gone to Fayetteville, and I was like, I'll get closer to her. And that lasted a year. And then I didn't even last a year. Halfway through the year, I was like, God dang it. Am I going to have to do this again? I was like,
we're too competitive, man. We got that drive and hunger.
It's stupid.
By the way, that hug in the lobby, top 7 hug of my life.
You're a hugger, too.
Doubt.
You're a big hugger.
Whoever captured the picture from like the other side, I can't remember who that was.
I don't either.
Thank you.
It was awesome.
I need to frame that one and put it up here. Episode 2's first small business shout out. Well, you see it right here on the shirt. The Rough House. Let me introduce you to Northeast Arkansas's, in my opinion, best, most reliable doggy daycare, boarding, and grooming service for any of your 4-legged friends. Located on Highway 18 and right here in Manila, Arkansas. My dear friends Jeff and Tiffany Costner have taken so much pride in taking care of dogs from all over. Whether that be just on a daily basis and doggy daycare and boarding for an extended period of time or grooming services. They've done a fantastic job. They've taken so much pride in their business, and I've loved to see how much it's grown in the short amount of time that they've been open. My dog, Nala, she loves the Rough House just like it's her own home. Loves going up there and hanging out with Jeff and Tiffany at the Rough House. So check them out on Facebook or swing on by right on Highway 18, right as you come into Manila, Arkansas from Jonesboro. Jeff and Tiffany has also recently opened the Rough House Express, NEA's newest self-serve pet wash. Super convenient for your pets, easy on the owner to take care of your 4-legged friends. You leave Manila, you go to BB. How does the mindset change going from a 3A school to a 6A? Would they 6A, correct?
Well, Cersei's going to be 5A. We'll be 5A in basketball. Now, they're going to go back to 6A for a 2-year cycle in football, but then they'll go back to 5A. We've got about anywhere from 300 to 350 kids a class. So,
right.
As far as basketball goes, obviously the playing field, as far as your worst teams, they're not as bad. Does that make sense? Like, you're going to have to bring it even against the bad teams. You can't have a game where you're like, I'll just go beat them. That doesn't exist. At BB last year, we were not.
The higher the level, in my opinion, like you can go from elementary to junior high to senior junior high, and then the levels of like high school sports. The higher the level, the competition gap closes.
Absolutely. Without a doubt. Now, I was, last year at BB, we were one of the worst 5A teams as far as our, but we would compete for a half. We would compete. We just didn't have the depth, size. We were so small. And so I think that, like, this year, I really like my group this year. They're just working their tails off, and we're strong. We got a 6'8" kid, a 6'6" kid, a 6'4" kid. I think we got a chance to compete. The 5A East, of course, Marion, Nettleton, Tech, even Paragoul's going to be good this year. Valley View lost a lot, but they're going to be competitive. Batesville going to be competitive. I don't know. Green County Tech, they're going to be good. I think they're going to be really good. They shoot the ball really well, and he does a phenomenal job getting them to play hard. So it's going to be one of those things where every night you better bring it, or you can get smacked. And in 3A, there were some nights where we would go certain places, and I knew if we just got off the bus, we were going to win the game. Like I may get mad before the night was over with because we weren't playing our best, but I didn't have to worry about us getting beat. That's not the case at this level. Like I felt like if teams last year showed up at BB and didn't show up, that we had a chance. Where there were certain nights we would go to certain schools in our conference, and I did not. Now those were the games that I would get the maddest. I mean, I'd get pissed. I'd fly off the handle because we weren't focused or we weren't this. And I'd always tell my kids, I was like, I'm coaching for a perfect game or a perfect practice. And obviously that's never going to happen, but it kept their mindset, I feel like, on task. And so,
but
like,
your expectation level is so high that when they don't meet that, even if you get a win, you know that you can get more out of them.
Correct.
And so I feel that.
Yep, 100%. But yeah, that's the difference. I feel like that's the difference. That basketball's still basketball. You know, I say that I steal a lot of my sets from girls basketball because it's a little bit slower. But because you can actually see it. Because some of those high level basketball players in Division One and NBA, they'll run sets like crazy, but I can't tell what they are because they're going so fast. Well, that's the case. The higher you go up, the less effective your sets are. You better become a better basketball player. The less effect you have as far as plays called. Your execution becomes so much more important the higher. And you probably saw that at the University of Arkansas. Obviously, execution becomes more important. Not so much the quantity of stuff you have, but you better be the quality better be there. We've run a ton of sets at Manila against man to man, and it was really hard to defend us because we ran them well. But last year, certain sets that I'd run for years that were very successful, all of a sudden these athletes were blowing them up. Because they were getting out in the passing lane. They weren't even letting us get into them. They'd be so up. They'd be pressuring us the ball so much. So I learned a lot last year as far as. But when I was at Win, we were 5A. So I'd already been there, and then Cabot, we were 7A. So I'd seen the North Little Rock. I'd seen the Conway. I'd seen all of that. So I remember Jerry. The difference in when Jerry coached and when now is the shot clock, obviously. So like at Cabot, the year when I was with him those 3 years, we ran a high-low motion offense. Well, we'd take a minute and a half to score if we needed to. We'd just keep running it.
Right.
And so that was an equalizer. Like you could, the North Little Rocks, who were better athletes, we'd make them they'd have to guard us for over half the game. They were on defense. And so we could close that gap. Well, now with the shot clock, I made the comment even, when it was to our benefit, when I got to Manila, I said that's going to help us win a state championship because I really felt like we were that good offensively that the only way teams were beating us those years before, were the really good passing teams that would make our defense work for 45 seconds. Well, now all of a sudden we don't have to do that.
You don't get worn out on the defensive end, and then you're fresher on offense.
And so,
and I completely agree with watching your teams. That it definitely was to your benefit. When I think from outsiders looking in, that people thought it was going to be maybe a downfall, but it was the opposite. And that's really fun to think of it that way.
And I tell you, the shot clock has brought a lot of different nuances into coaching. Like you have to sit down and you have to figure out, do you want to do a 2-for-1? And how much time on the clock are you going to start looking at fouling if you're behind, et cetera. And I love it. Like it's one of my favorite parts of the game. I don't know that I'd still be. I think I'd still be coaching it without it, but it would have been more difficult because I think it speeds the game up. It makes it more fun to watch. It makes it more fun to play. But also, as a coach, you got. I mean, you got to say you better be on your game. Otherwise, you'll look up and you'll be like, oh no, I just shot it with so and so, and now this guy's about to get 2 offense possessions to my 1 to finish out this quarter when I could have held it for another 10 seconds. They get 1 possession and then we'll get it back. Little things like that end up at the end of the game being a big deal. So I love it.
And that's what I've enjoyed. That's what I've enjoyed so much about being a basketball assistant. I mean, I never thought I would be, but I'm enjoying it so much to learn so much about the game and the
Yep.
2-for-1s and things like that. When you go score, when you don't. So that's been a blast.
It's
And I've
fun.
got you to thank for my limited basketball knowledge I have. You've helped me with about 99.6% of that. So thank you. But Episode two's small business shout out number 2, Jones Lawn Care LLC, located in Truman, Arkansas. Your one-stop shop for any outdoor maintenance you can think of, whether it be sport facility maintenance, professional fence installation, general lawn care, permanent and holiday lighting, and like I said, the most quality general lawn care in Northeast Arkansas. If you need to take your lawn to the next level, contact Jones Lawn Care at 870-284-0163. That's 870-284-0163. Coach, so going into year 1 at Thursday, get the opportunity to coach your son. I know, coming from a coach's son, I got to play under my dad. My little brother got to play under my dad. I know that was special for us both. Tell me about how that's going to be. How excited are you to coach your youngest son?
Oh, it's really one of the biggest reasons I came to Cersei. I think Cersei's a great job for me. I think, we talked about the timing. And I just, getting to coach him after what he went through. You know the story, obviously. I'm not sure if everybody else does. He was a heck of a linebacker. I knew he was good in 7th, 8th grade. 9th grade, I was like, okay. They moved him up at the end of the year. He had 13 tackles in a playoff game. As a 9th grader, and I was like, okay, dude can play. Well, we happened to win a state championship, so there wasn't a whole lot left for me to do. My daughter had gone to Fayetteville, so I wanted to get a little bit closer to her. He was going to be in the senior high, so I didn't want to miss anything that he did. And that a job in BB opened up, administrative job where I could go and watch him. He had a phenomenal season. Was named All-State, 5A level, was pretty good for a sophomore. But he broke his neck on the in the last game, and awful situation from a father's standpoint, and a family. It was horrible. It was the worst night of my life. I called you twice. I think we talked, and people that know me, I don't call. So the fact that you and I talked on the phone multiple times that night, but wheeling him out in a wheelchair and him standing up and getting in the vehicle was all I needed to see to get me through. But I knew, you watch a kid, you watch your son, work and work and work for something, and then when they're too young to really understand why stuff happens, it, something bad really happened, and he's not ever been able to play football again and won't. As a father, I'm not heartbroken, but I sure would love to see him strap it up and go again. But
As would I. I promise you.
Yes. So when this, he came to me last year and he's like, Dad, I'm going to be bored. I don't know what to do. Of course, he'd quit playing basketball and quit playing baseball, all the other sports. He was just going to be a football player. And so he went back to play basketball, had a pretty decent year considering he hadn't played much since the 8th grade. And I think he'll probably be in our top 5, probably start for us. Definitely be in the top 6, top 7. Very, very physical. Loves to get down and guard. Loves the contact inside. Got to get him to score a little bit better. But no, that was a big a big factor of me taking this job. Was getting the chance
Absolutely.
to coach him, but really just to be around him every day. Lad came and lived with me for 3 years. I got to, even though he and I aren't the biggest talkers in the world, we were there with each other every day. And so to be able to do that with Lawson, it's irreplaceable. It's the time, that I've dreamed about and hope he understands how much fun we're going to have. Not every day, obviously, but I got him pretty good the other day. But most of the time, he's really good at taking butt chewing. So he took it, went on about it, and everything was good after that.
It's one of those things as a coach's son, you in the moment you don't realize how special it is. And down the road now that I'm 28 years old, I look back how precious, being on the sideline when my dad was. It was truly special, and so I'm super excited. I mean, you got to coach both your sons now, and that's
Correct.
not many people can say that, and so
No,
that's super cool.
it's a blessing. It's one of those things where you look at it, and in the time, especially with Lad, I made a lot of mistakes as a father with Lad. He's my firstborn. I was a little bit too hard on him. Um, Pushed him here and there that at times that I thought I was doing right, and I look back and he and I've got a phenomenal relationship now. And we had a good one when he was in high school, but I felt like I pressured him a little bit too much over stupid stuff, stuff that just didn't even matter. Um, I've been blessed. I've got 3 kids that act right, do right. My ex-wife gets a lot of credit for that. She's done a phenomenal job as a mother. And they each have their own personality, and I have a different relationship with every one of them. But I just it's something that you can't explain to someone until they have their own kids. And my parents used to tell me that, and I was like, whatever. You don't know until you know. And
Right.
and with those 3, like Landry came home yesterday for a doctor. She came in the day before and stayed with me for 4 or 5 hours. Fell asleep on the couch, and those 4 hours make my week. You know what I'm saying? And so
Absolutely. Yeah.
being able to see Lawson every day it's got me on cloud 9, and so gonna be able to go to work every day and see him, and uh, I've had way worse situations than that, so
No
I'm happy
doubt.
about it.
That makes me so happy for you. And I tell you what, your 3, I love them like my own. I tell you, I'd take any one of them right now. And let me double back one time. Your oldest lad, I know you said you pushed him more when he was in high school. Heck, he was a heck of a defensive football player too.
He
I
was
mean, let's
very.
not forget that he could play some. He played strong safety for me before I was the head coach at Manila. He could go. And so you raised 2 tough sons. Look
They
at you
are they
go.
are very tough. Yes, they are.
Yeah,
And
no,
the thing with Lad, he was always undersized and not very
yeah.
fast. But he
This
made
is true.
he understood angles, and was not scared to hit you. And Lawson got blessed with a little bit more size. I mean, he weighs. Lad probably graduated high school probably maybe 160 if we threw a bunch of water on him. Lawson Austin weighs in at about 195, and it's just strong, 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 and loves the weight room. And it's just they're just 2 different kids. They're built different. Um, and being the younger kid, he got to watch Lad do
Right.
some things and make a few changes, kind of like Will did with you. Uh,
This is
you
very
know,
true.
it's kind of like I did with my brother. I mean, if you're the youngest one and you're smart, you'll sit back and kind of watch and go, okay, that right there didn't work very well. That was a bad decision, Neil. I'm not going to do that. So you use it the same way with sports. You like, okay, he didn't do this. I'm going to do this. And so those are the things I think that younger brothers pick up on, and you older brothers, y'all's job is just to make sure we don't die.
That's that's fair. That's fair. Will must have watched really close because athleticism. He's up here and I'm somewhere under the table. But anyway, regardless. So we've kind of recapped your entire career, really, your entire coaching career,
Mhm.
even before your coaching career. So, big questions for you.
All
If you
right.
could name an all-time starting 5 of basketball players you coached, if you could go out and win one game tonight, who's your starting 5?
You can be from any of the schools I've been at.
Any of the schools you've been at.
Okay. Number one, I'm gonna go with Jordan Weaver. He was a 2 guard. 2-3. He could have played either. Explosive, could score. He started for Win for 4 years. We moved him up as a ninth grader.
Wow.
We had a good squad that year, but he led us in scoring as a ninth grader. We made it to the semifinals the year that Tech won it for the first time. We played Tech in the semis at Tech. Probably to this day, one of the best atmospheres I've ever been in. And played them close, but they were good. And Jordan led us in scoring that whole season. And then he just kept getting better, kept getting better, kept getting better. Led them to the state championship. Got beat by McClellan, I think, which would have been my first year at Cabot. So I coached him all the way from 7th grade through his junior year. Then I had a kid at Cabot, Jerry, and I. His name was Darren Jones. He was built good. Like he was long, lanky, and could flat score the ball. Had a terrible looking shot. It looked like he almost was waiting until he was coming down before he released it. And but he could put the ball in the hole. Obviously, point guard. I'm going to go with Daly Blue.
Oh my gosh.
Daly, he was a machine out there. I mean, I never worried when he had the ball in his hands. He was crafty. I mean, he hit left-handed.
Yes.
Just
Yes,
he gave
exactly
people
what I was about to
problems.
say. Watching him play point guard, left-handed point guard, was like watching Clayton Kershaw, or just any of the crafty left-handed pitchers in baseball. He was so good at his trade. He was fun to watch.
He had nothing overbearing. Like he had no overbearing athletic ability. He had no speed
Right.
that was overbearing. He had nothing. He just was a master at what he did, and he changed
Absolutely.
direction and changed pace so well. Always kept you guessing as a defender. That was the year we got upset by Bald Knob, but that was the year that COVID shut down the state championship, and Rivercrest and Osceola won it together, and we were 6-0 against those two teams because they couldn't
Where was that
guard him.
Rachel Taylor play that?
That was at Harding.
At Harding. Okay. I thought that was one at Truman too back in the day.
That was the year before. That's against Harding and
Okay,
Cabot.
gotcha.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
So you got
No,
Blue, and you got Blue, you got Weaver, and then the kid from Cabot. What was his last name? Jones.
I'm gonna say the kid from Cabot's got to be coming off the bench though. Like he'll
Oh.
be a perfect 6-man for me. I'm sorry, you said
Okay.
5. Too bad. I'm going as many as
round
I
it off.
freaking want. All right, so Blondie, obviously, Braden Nunley is my 4. I mean, what can you say other than that dude won? I mean, he played on. Let's see. He played for 4. He started for 4 years in high school, and we won. I'm gonna do some quick addition, okay? 63. 94 games in 4 years, and a state championship, 2 district championships, 3 conference titles. Get you some of that.
He was a winner. And you know this, you've been around me. I've never begged kids to play football, but I probably never asked a human being to play more than I asked Braden Nunley.
He'd have been a freak.
I think I asked him every day. And we had a great relationship just in the hallways and stuff and being around the gym. Love that kid to death. Saw him at the gas station the other day. Awesome kiddo.
Would have been an amazing football player. Heck of a baseball player. He was just a great kid, man. Fun to be around, funny. So I've got me a point guard, got a 2 guard, got a 4, 3. That's tough. Joel Burrow, Jaron Burrow.
Both of them.
I'm just gonna put those 2 together along with Brady Woodall. So the 3 of them are gonna play my 3. Okay. All 3 of them were scorers. They loved competing. Jaron made 123 threes his senior year and shot almost 50% from the 3-point line, which is it's amazing. Those other 2 played on the same team, and if I'd have had another ball, we'd have scored even more. Them suckers couldn't shoot it fast enough.
Right.
But they were athletic. Joel Burrow still to this day had one of the best in-game dunks I've ever coached. So that leaves me with the 5. I've had a bunch of good 5s. No one that ever statistically stood out.
Correct.
If you want to call him a 5, because he posted up some, Scott Eubanks was a double until he blew his knee out his senior year. That was one of my best. God, we were good. We were 18-6. Beat the dog out of Earl one night in the district semis, and he goes up to dunk with 6 seconds left because they'd cut it back because they hit about 5 threes and we were up 20 almost, and they cut it down to 6. So I put them back in, and we ran a little play, and he gets loose and goes up to dunk, and his knee just gave out. But he was more of a four than he was a five. Zach Riley was a dog, man. But I saw one night. I mean, he scored. He had 15 rebounds and 4 points. He was
Wow.
Angel Reese. He was Angel Reese before Angel Reese was around, but he wasn't doing it on purpose.
Okay.
He wasn't doing it on purpose like she does. But you gotta mention Gonzo. I mean, Gonzo started for me for 3 years. 6'5",
Yeah.
athletic, jump out of the gym. Probably one of the best defensive 5 men I've ever coached.
That's
I
my
really
first
feel
year
like
in
I've got
Manila.
a
I had him in class. Great
oh
kid too. Yeah.
rebounder. I mean, he did a little bit of everything. I mean, like you said, top five. I named probably how many? 10,
I
12,
think I
13.
think you may have named a football team. I think you may have named 11.
No, I
So
only got 10. I'll give you 11th though. Caleb Reinhardt. Okay.
okay, there we
Um,
go. We've got 11.
Caleb
Let's put him in
Reinhardt.
the flex bone and
I'm
let's go
ready.
play. Let's go.
Caleb Reinhardt, five,
I
five
love it.
eight, probably
All
maybe
right.
5'8". Winner, dude. Like I'll take Caleb Reinhardt every day, all day against any competition. He never. Now his sophomore year, I watched him one time. I put him at point, and we were at Earl. We won the game. Um, they turned him 44 times before he got to half court. He couldn't get by him, but he just kept turning, kept turning, kept turning, kept turning, kept turning. Finally gets to half court, gets the ball to Brady Jones, and got out of the way. Brady Jones was really good too, by the way.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. So we got 12. We
You
got a
can't be a
12th
good
man.
coach
We'll
without
break
good
it down.
players.
Speaking of 12th man, I think there was a night that you attended a football game in Fayetteville that you were a part of a 12th man. Wow, we've lived this perfect. I've got to ask you. I was on the field, and I know how it felt with the fans storming the field. It felt like a wave. But when number 4 Arkansas or number 4 Tennessee comes to Arkansas, and Arkansas upsets them that night, how was that storming the field? What was that experience like?
As a Razorback fan, a guy who's been watching them since he was 6 years old, 7 years old. Um, I mean, I've cried when I was not a child, like 10, 12, 13, 15 years old. I've cried about the Razorbacks before. So to be there in person when that happened, um, it'll never be topped as a Razorback fan. I mean, I watched us win a national championship, and that was one of the greatest things ever. But I wasn't there, And
Right.
to be there that night, I think you got us the tickets. You got me on the field before the game, which was just I stayed on the field until they kicked me off of it. I'll tell you that. Everybody's like, "Don't you think we need to go to our seats? We need to go to our seats." I was like, "I'm not going to my seat until they
I'm not
make
leaving.
me." I'm not doing it. And finally, the guy was like, "Hey, man, we got some teams coming out on the field in just a second. You might want to get up to your seats." I was like, "All right."
All right, you
But
convinced me, fine.
me and Brian Neal, and I think Chrissy and maybe Carly were sitting there. Me and Brian were sitting side by side, and there was this group of young men, probably 22-ish, 21, legal age, because they had consumed a lot. And
Okay.
they were like, "Hey, we're storming the field. Y'all are going with us." And I looked at Brian. I went, "You might. I'm not." And Brian was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not storming it with us." So I just turned around. And I went, "Listen, you guys will scoot over and y'all make the way. Take off. We're right behind you." We weren't right behind them, but we did get there. They took off. There they went, and I was like, God, to be 21 again right now, like, but being 48 and being on that field was pretty special. As a Hog fan, you can't top that. So
It was a special night. So you didn't storm
oh,
the field. You sprinkled the field.
I
You
did, yeah,
you kind of
yes.
sprinkled the field.
Yes,
I
like
remember
I,
seeing you
I
down there after
followed
that
them.
game. It was awesome.
Now I wasn't going to fall and break a hip or anything, so like I just kind
Right.
of followed them as they went through like this. I kind of made straight lines, no zigging and zagging with me. I was going straight. It took them a long time, so they were busting people out of our way, and me and Brian just right behind them. He probably brought his family with him, but I don't know. I went on my own. I was like, I'm down.
I was like trying to like keep my headset from getting stolen. Like it was cool for like 44 seconds max, and I was like,
Then
I
you're
gotta
scared.
get out of here. It's like I'm trying to get to the locker room, but so the SEC football documentary just dropped last two nights ago, whenever it
I've got it
was.
on the TV right now. I haven't. It's
It's
on the
got
TV.
so really.
Yep.
Let's go. And so in that episode, that's when it's the Tennessee game, and I'm in the episode for like a whopping 4 seconds. So that's pretty
I'm gonna
cool.
find you.
On Netflix.
I'll find you.
A whopping 4 seconds. Well, Coach, I can't thank you enough for being on with me. It's been a blast. I couldn't think of a better guest for episode 1. When I envisioned this, when I thought I was going to do this, I was driving to work. It was kind of one of those things, like a green light. I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. It's the perfect time to do it. And I knew that you'd be the first guest. So thank you for everything you've done in my life. Thank you for everything you're going to do in my life. Thanks for being my friend. I love you, man. Thank you so much.
Well, before you go, obviously, I pray that this takes off and you're the next hell, better than Pat McAfee, that clown. You won't be wearing all those goofy ties and so forth. You'll be dressed better than him. Anyway, I hope this takes off and you're the next big thing. You know that I love you. You know that you're important to me beyond measure. Your family, I count my best friends as family. I mean, besides blood,
Absolutely.
blood is blood, but you stuck with your family. You get to choose your friends. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's
And
right.
so I know my brother has to feel that way at times with me. He's probably been like, "Gosh, dang it, he's still my brother." But no, I'm blessed to have you in my life. I think that you've got one of the best outlooks on life. There are days when I'm like, this world can't get any worse, and then I see you and you're just smiling ear to ear for no reason other than you're just alive, and I'm telling you, that's inspirational to other people. Keep it up.
Thank
Be
you.
you forever. Don't change. Don't let other people make you feel bad about being you. Um, I often take a negative to pessimistic view of things. And you're the yin to my yang, baby. You're the positive
That's right.
guru, and I love being around you. Love hanging out with you. Can't wait to see you again. And
See
we
you
made
soon.
it through a whole episode without dropping very many. I may have dropped one or two. My bad if I did, but we didn't. We did well.
We did do well. We really did.
We did well.
Hey, I'm proud of us. I'm proud. I'm proud of us every single day, but I'm proud of
I
what
think
we've
we're great.
accomplished. I hope the people love us just yapping back and forth for an hour and 10 minutes.
Me
I
too.
think they will.
I
So,
agree.
but thank you, brother. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'm sure I'll talk to you in like 8 to 10 minutes, most
Oh
likely.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
thanks for being on, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Love you. See you.
All right, love you too. For today's question of the day segment, presented by both the Rough House and Jones Lawn Care LLC, got a bunch of new questions in since the first episode took place. Excited to dive into these. And if your question doesn't get answered, I'm not throwing those out. Okay, I'm going to keep them in the hat. I'm going to switch up the hat every episode just to give a backstory on my massive hat collection. But I'm not going to throw those out. I'm going to keep those in there. So don't worry. I'm sure that your question will come about. Today's hat. One of my favorite music artists right now, Hardy. Check out his new single, Bottomland, off of his newest album, which will be out on September 26th. Bottomland, fantastic song. Been jamming it since it came out. We're going to do 3 questions of the day today. Question 1. We've got, if you could choose any superpower, what would it be? For me, that's an easy one. It's teleportation. I'm a big time traveler. Love to go all over, whether it be to sporting events, concerts, just going to the beach, the lake. I don't quite enjoy the road trip part of it. I'm not the most patient person, so if I could teleport from here to Panama City, or from here to Fayetteville for a Hogs game, or from here to St. Louis for a Blues game, I'd do it in a heartbeat. So teleportation, no doubt, that's the superpower that I picked. Easy choice. Easy choice. Great question. Easy choice. Question 2. How do you motivate yourself to do hard things in your profession? That's a really good one. That came from my good friend Juan, who works as a student assistant at the University of Arkansas. First question came from my sister-in-law Brayley. Shout out to Brayley. But how do I motivate to do hard things in my life? I could go into a lot of detail, but what I think of when I'm faced with a tough time or a tough task, I've got to give myself a reward, whether it be something actual physical or whether it be something that you can't see. When I was working at the University of Arkansas, what motivated me was the experiences that my family and friends were getting to have, around the program. And so, just place yourself a reward at the end of that task or whatever is tough in your life. Reward yourself for accomplishing things that aren't easy. I tell people that all the time. We get one swing at life, and so when we go through tough times or we do something tough, we should reward ourselves, no doubt. Great question. Final question of the day. I need to shake that up a little more. Oh man, I've been waiting to see this one. This comes from my good friend Timmy Bufford over in Truman, Arkansas. Why don't more teams run a wing T or flex bone type offense in football? I think most new generation coaches thinks it's outdated. The triple option, the V or wing T, flex bone. With the evolution of the spread offense and RPOs and things like that, teams think they have to outscore people and play super fast. So I think that's why that type of ball has been abandoned. You still see the flex bone at the college level with Army and Navy and Harding University. They won a national championship in it 2 years ago at the D2 level. So that's a tough one to say. I can't put myself in any other coach's shoes. It could be personal preference. People want to sling the ball around, get it out quick. I'm more of a run first type guy, and I've studied the flex bone for a long time, and it's my personal preference. But I just think the evolution of the game, people think they have to score really, really fast and speed the game up, whereas I prefer to slow it down in the flex bone. I preferred to slow it down in the flex bone when I was a play caller and a head coach. So, great question. I just think it comes with the evolution of the game. So, thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of the In the Huddle podcast. Super, super excited to keep this thing rolling. Going to be bi-weekly episodes until the end of football season. Hopefully we can go once per week after football season. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.